Hello and welcome to my channel, You Are The One, where we talk all things law of assumption to help make your manifesting journey easier and more fun. And today I'm following on from last week's video around changing your diagnosis or changing a diagnosis. And I just want to expand on that using the I am technique that I've been talking about as well to help change a diagnosis if that is something that you are dealing with in your reality. So stick around. My name is Hedley Derenzie. I am a qualified life coach and author specializing in law of assumption. If you'd like to know more about me or my offerings, including coaching and the free Set Yourself Up with the Ultimate Self-Concept course that I have available, you'll find all of those details in the box below this video or at my website, youaretheone.com.au. But we are just going to get straight in to today's topic, which is following on from last week, change a diagnosis, or following on from the last video titled Change a Diagnosis. If you haven't seen that yet, I would suggest going back and watching that first and then coming back to this one. It just gives you a bit of an overview. But I wanted to expand on that topic because obviously health is a really important topic. And the way I see the way we approach health or we approach a diagnosis is actually not setting ourselves up for success. We're setting ourselves up for more of the diagnosis. So before I get into that, let's just go over the basics, as I always like to do in my videos. According to the law of assumption, consciousness is the one and only reality. Reality, as we know it, that we experience with our five senses outside of us, is the reflection of consciousness. And that in itself is a game changer. So that's why I always like to start the videos with that, because we all need reminding that what we are seeing and experiencing outside of ourselves is actually not what is fixed. That's the expression of what we fix first in consciousness. Consciousness is the one and only reality. Reality is reflecting back what we are doing in consciousness. So when that comes to a diagnosis that we experience in our reality, first of all, if you experience a health diagnosis, one that's occurring in the 3D, and that's important. That is something that we need to acknowledge and we need to deal with on that 3D level. When we receive a health diagnosis, is we get the diagnosis and then we go into fixing or like healing the diagnosis and doing all of the right things to heal the diagnosis. However, the focus, the awareness remains on the diagnosis. Let's say you receive a diagnosis of chronic fatigue syndrome. Then you go about learning about chronic fatigue syndrome, but then also learning how to manage and heal from chronic fatigue syndrome. But while you're applying like good health, you're improving your diet, you're changing your sleep, you're like doing all of these good things, the issue is your awareness, your creator of reality, like what you are focused on, remains on the diagnosis. It remains on the chronic fatigue syndrome or the label, the illness, the disease, the cancer, the migraines, the heart hypertension or the heart failure, the this or the that, the whatever it is. If you're not changing your consciousness, if you're not shifting your awareness towards the new story, to what you want to experience, then you're going to be in a battle. So if you're remaining focused on the diagnosis and then you're doing all of these wonderful healing things like, you know, looking at diet and sleep and medication and vitamins and yoga and exercise and, you know, you're doing all of these great things, but your awareness is still on the diagnosis, you are going to be in a battle. And you might get some movement and some improvements, but you're going to still experience the symptoms of the diagnosis, because that's where your awareness is. The diagnosis is not the end of the story. That's just the beginning of a new adventure. That's the setup. And if we didn't have a setup, we'd have nothing to awaken from. And of course, the setup is the awakening. Whatever we've set ourselves up, we don't really have to understand why we've set something up. You can if you want, if it's helpful, but if it's going into why did I create this kind of guilt and blame story, we don't want to do that. So we just have to accept that we've set ourselves up with an adventure, and every setup is a setup designed to help you awaken to who you truly are, which is God in human form, which is the creator of your reality based on whatever it is that you're doing in consciousness. Your awareness and where you direct it is your superpower. That is what creates your reality. And reality is incredibly objective. It will respond entirely and completely to what you're doing in consciousness. So if you remain focused on the diagnosis and you're doing all of these wonderful things to heal yourself, you are going to be in a battle. 1 step forward, 2 steps back, because here's the diagnosis, here's the healing, here's the diagnosis, here's the healing. We have to change what you're focusing on when you have begun your healing journey towards better health in whatever situation or condition it is. And you can also apply the I am technique, because remember, your physical body is an expression of consciousness. It's in the external world, and yes, it is the vehicle in which our imagination travels and experiences this wonderful sensory experience, and this is how we come to know ourselves of God in human form, is through this body. Your body is the vehicle for consciousness, and however, it is in the external world, so therefore it falls under the laws of assumption, which is reality is the reflection of consciousness. So your body is a reflection of consciousness. That's the law. So the diagnosis is not the end of the story. That's the beginning of the new story. But you have to write the new story. You've just been given the diagnosis, and that's the setup. That's what you've been given. And now you get to direct your awareness to where you want to go. Remember, you are the one. You have free will as to where you direct your power, as to where you direct your awareness. That's entirely up to you. So you want to be directing it towards the story, towards the experience, towards the assumption of what you want to have reflected back in your reality. So what I've done here is I've written out a list of like just common conditions, and I just want to give you an example of what you would do with this diagnosis. So in the example of chronic fatigue syndrome, that's the diagnosis, that's the setup, that's not the end of the story. So then what you want to do is create a label that directs your awareness to where you're heading. So you might, and really you're just saying what the opposite of the diagnosis is. So in this case, I'm just making it up, you can actually work out what feels better for you. But chronic fatigue syndrome would be ongoing energy relief. So then you would use the I am technique, and you'd say, I am my body, and I am experiencing and enjoying ongoing energy relief. Now that becomes your new focus, that becomes your story. You're still dealing with the condition in the 3D, but you're dealing with it in the direction of where you're heading. You're not dealing with it in the direction of where you're coming from, and therefore creating more of the same and finding yourself in that battle of like one step forward, two steps back kind of thing. Another example would be diabetes. Now the diabetes is the body's inability to maintain healthy levels of glucose. So you would then say, I am my body, and my body is a healthy glucose maintenance system. Anxiety and depression. If you're experiencing anxiety and depression, that's the diagnosis, that's the setup, that's the beginning of the new story. So the new story would be, I am my body, and I am experiencing emotional and mental peace and contentment. Again, it doesn't mean you're not treating it at the 3D level. It means you're treating it at 3D level with the conscious awareness directed in the direction of where you're heading, of where you want to go. Remember, you have to live from the end of where you want to be, not be thinking of it, and certainly not be thinking of what you don't want in the diagnosis. So once you've got the diagnosis, yes, that's the acknowledgement, and then that is the beginning of you turning your attention towards where you're heading. And you are heading towards optimal health. You are heading towards comfort. You are heading towards peace. You are heading towards contentment. Migraines. So migraines are a neurological disorder. That's the diagnosis. That's the setup. The new story then becomes, I am my body, and I am experiencing neurological order, including a calm and peaceful head, because when you have migraines, you have those terrible headaches that will take you out for a couple of days, and including vomiting. So you want to direct your awareness towards where you're heading, which is neurological order and a calm and peaceful head. Now, that's not to say you may not experience migraines. That's okay. Remember, we're working with ourselves in the 3D, and we're working with consciousness, but with law of assumption, we're creating a new story. And any assumption, any new story, even though false in this moment where reality is not yet reflected back, if it's persisted in, it has to harden into fact, because consciousness is the one and only reality, and your reality has to reflect back what you're doing in consciousness. So if you are directing your conscious awareness towards the state of health that you are looking to experience, and then you are holding firm to that, you're saying, this is the story I'm telling, this is the one I'm persisting with, even though my reality hasn't caught up with that story yet, you give it time and your reality has to reflect back the new story. It's just that we haven't been taught to tell the new story when given a diagnosis. Our focus becomes the diagnosis. And also, yes, you can heal family members and you can heal friends, because they're, from that conscious perspective, they are you pushed out, reflecting you back. So if you see somebody who is ill, you want to claim them as I am that person, and I am experiencing health in that particular area. So you would change the name of the diagnosis they've been given towards the opposite. Generally, it's the opposite. And then you would direct your awareness towards that opposite. And then what you can also do is create a vision of what that would look like now that they are experiencing that state of health. And that just kind of like the cherry on top of these things is you're affirming the new assumption, but then you're creating a vision that matches in with the new story. Abdominal pains. I am my body, I am my abdominal, and I am in comfort. Urinary tract infection. I had a few of these when I was younger. I am my body, I am my urinary tract. And I am experiencing urinary tract purity and cleanliness. An infection is just a manifestation of an impurity. So you want to direct your awareness towards the purity, towards the cleanliness. In fact, any type of infection, just name the organ and direct it towards purity or cleanliness or freshness, sterility, healthiness. Like you pick the word, whatever works for you. You make this stuff up. Like you've got to feel good about it and it's got to feel natural to you. I just go to the dictionary and I look up the word and then I look up what the opposite of the word is and then I just go with that. Like remember, language is super powerful. It's directing your awareness where to go, whether you're using speech or thoughts. It's all language. Remember, I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater. My consciousness and my reality are one. They're the same thing. But my consciousness is greater because that is what's causing reality. But that doesn't mean we're devaluing reality, but it comes and is caused by consciousness. So we have to be using both. And what we're doing most of the time is we get a diagnosis and we're going that way. And then we're trying to go that way in reality, but we haven't moved from the consciousness of the diagnosis. You have to get in alignment to where you're going and then still work with it at the 3D. And your reality, like, your healing journey will speed up. It'll because you're in alignment now. You know where you've directed your consciousness to where you're going and you're heading that way with your healing journey as well. COVID. Hello. COVID is a respiratory illness. So I am my body and I am experiencing respiratory and immune strength and well-being. Whatever it is, make it up. Hypothyroidism is an overstimulated thyroid. I am my body, I am my thyroid, and I am experiencing a calm and tranquil thyroid. Warts is a skin infection caused by a human papillomavirus. I am my body, I am my skin, I am healthy and clean and pure. Oh, and actually human papillomavirus is a virus of DNA. So you would say, I am my body, I am my DNA, and I am clean and pure and healthy and strong and whatever you want the story to be. What else? Deafness. This is an interesting one because hearing loss is something that has run through my family, the women in my family. It's gone through the generations and I've experienced a little bit of that myself. So I'm working with this and I want that story to stop with me. So I am saying, I am my body, I am my ears, and I am experiencing hearing gain. Like it's really that simple. It's really that simple. You just have to direct your awareness to where you want it to go and claim yourself as your body, claim yourself as the organ, and then direct your awareness to what you want that organ to be doing and feeling and looking like and being, and then creating a vision that matches up with this new story that you're telling, and then continue to work with yourself at that 3D level. But remember, once you've got that vision of where you're heading, it's super easy for your reality to catch up, and it can catch up really quickly. Like these things can happen very quickly, but sometimes they also require a bit of patience and a bit of persistence as well. It doesn't matter. You just do the work in consciousness and your reality has to catch up, and it doesn't matter how long it takes, because as long as you're enjoying this new vision and this new story, you're going to feel good, and that's awesome. And of course, if you're experiencing some kind of pain, there are going to be times like that you're just going to have to roll with that pain and just do whatever you need to do to comfort yourself and hold yourself during those moments, because when you're in pain and when you're in a very 3D experience, you don't want to be law of assumptioning your way out of it. Be with yourself, hold yourself, do whatever you need to do to move yourself through that moment. It will pass. We're here to awaken. We're not here to stay stuck in that same experience. Allow yourself to experience what you're experiencing, and then when you've got a bit of space between the pain and the discomfort that you might be experiencing, then you can start to work with your focus and work with like your consciousness. But be very gentle with yourself with all of this stuff. Do not put another story over the top of somehow that you're getting this wrong or you're not doing this right, or that you're at some kind of fault for experiencing a diagnosis. A diagnosis is nothing to blame or be at fault about, or even to go in, why did I create this? If you're experiencing a diagnosis, that's the setup, and we all have to experience all different setups. If we didn't have the setup, then we wouldn't have anything to awaken from. We had to set ourselves up with challenges and trials and tribulations in order for us to be able to experience ourselves as God in human form. Because again, if we didn't have anything to awaken from, how do we know that we're God? How do we have the experience of being God in human form? It's just, there's no adventure. We had to set up the adventure. It's not always an easy adventure. It's not always a calm and comfortable adventure, but it is an adventure. And these teachings will help you move through it, but do so with love and compassion for yourself. That's pretty much it. Oof, I've been talking for quite a while, so I'll just leave it there. Remember, always, you are the amazing creators of your reality. You are the superstar of your show. You are the producer, the writer, the director, and the actor in your movie. What you assume to be true will be so. So assume the best for you. Assume the best for everyone in your movie too, and you will have an amazing life. And this is my wish, my vision, and my prayer for you and for me too. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your beautiful comments and all of your love. I really, really appreciate it. And I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.